of course there are the regulatory issues that we've been talking about already, but fundamentally it's about the business case. It's about whether the market will support MVNOs. Now, what we need to find, I think the greatest problem when we discuss MVNOs is how the underlying MNO, the existing operators, can make money at the same time as the MVNOs making money. This is the challenge that we face when we discuss MVNOs. And there are many answers, and the very statistics that were presented early on show that it's not a simple question to answer at all. I mean, you mentioned the number of MVNOs that were launched, and also the number of MVNOs that went out of business last year. Now, to me, that statistic shows that there are plenty of entrepreneurs out there who are prepared to take entrepreneurial risks, to explore new market segments for the underlying MNOs. It also makes me wonder why sometimes the underlying MNOs are worried about MVNOs. The underlying MNOs have got a huge investment, and the MVNOs, I believe, can help them, especially in a maturing market. I mean, everything's always changing. When Computaris came to Romania in 2001, we came because there was a pool of talent and because the cost was good. But now we're in Romania because it's an interesting market to be in of itself. And as markets mature, the market conditions change. So here we see a moment, and I think probably the moment is now coming in Romania, that the MVNOs help the MNOs to target different parts of their market that they otherwise cannot reach. And they also help the MNOs to make a more efficient use of their huge investment by laying part of the risk that the MNOs have made, and offlaying part of the investment they made in investing in their network infrastructure and spectrum. If we think about the different types of MVNO that can help the MNO, the very first type are the strong brands that we've mentioned earlier on. I think these are the Carrefours of the world and the Virgin Mobile of the world. I think these are quite few and far between. When they happen, they are very successful and everyone talks about them. Virgin Mobile in the UK is an MVNO, and there are surveys of customers of their satisfaction of the network performance, not the customer care or anything else, but the satisfaction of the network performance. Now, clearly, Virgin Mobile has the same network performance as its underlying MNO. But in these surveys, Virgin Mobile always comes out top, and the underlying MNO comes out bottom. So the brand makes a difference, and it shows that the brand can add the brand of an MVNO can add value to the MNO. But it has to be a very strong brand in this case. It has to be a brand like Virgin or like Carrefour. So I think these are quite few and far between. Now, I just came back, as was mentioned, from Malaysia. On Friday I had a couple of meetings with MVNOs in Malaysia that we're doing business with. And one of them is actually this type of MVNO. It's TuneTalk. And I don't think this brand is so well known in Europe, but it's a kind of Asian version of Virgin, or an Asian version of EasyJet. It's a whole series of leisure brands that have started in different businesses. In the case of Virgin and EasyJet, Virgin started in the record industry and EasyJet started in the airline industry. They've then expanded out to different parts of leisure. So in the case of the TuneTalk brand, this started with an airline called AirAsia that's amazingly successful. It's got a very, very strong brand. And then on the back of that, they can cross-sell telephony services, and that becomes an MVNO that's built on a very, very strong brand basis. But these type of MVNOs that have only got a brand, they're what we call thin MVNOs. They're a marketing concept only, and they haven't got technical infrastructure behind them. And I think for the smaller market segments, this kind of model probably doesn't work. The reason being, MNOs will be very happy to allow an MVNO to come in, invest money, and test out a small market segment. And then, as soon as that market segment shows, well, if it doesn't show promise, then they can close it down. The MVNO is not successful. But if it does show promise and it takes off, then it's very easy for the underlying MNO to step in and take over that business from the MVNO. And this is because the MVNO doesn't have its own infrastructure, its own platform, so it can't differentiate in terms of the services it can offer to the MNO. So I think for the smaller market segments, to explore those segments, it's quite important for the MVNO to have its own differentiator through a different platform so that it can explore those segments in a different way. Now, an example that we're involved in Computaris is the second operator I was meeting on Friday, which is an operator that targets a particular market segment in Malaysia. Now, I was saying that I believe Malaysia is a good benchmark for Romania, because in Malaysia, I don't know whether you're aware, there's about 23 million people, so it's approximately the same size. And in terms of ARPU levels, it's comparable also with Romania. So, but in Malaysia, there's a market segment. It's quite a big one. It's about 20%. It's the Chinese community. And there's one operator out there, Celcom. It's very, very strong. It's probably the leading brand, but it doesn't have a good penetration in the Chinese community. So they were very happy to set up an MVNO to help them penetrate this particular market segment, in this case an ethnic market segment. Now the MVNO that was set up decided that they're going to attack that segment, but they also need an infrastructure to help them differentiate for that segment. That segment's got different needs to the mainstream segment, and how can they offer services that particularly address the needs of that segment? And they chose to have a conversion billing system, so they can do things, they can offer products that, for example, cross over between a prepaid product and a postpaid product. These are things that the underlying operator cannot immediately step in and take over, because it's a different type of product that requires a particular network infrastructure to work with. So this allows them to test that segment, but at the same time to be protected if they hope it's successful, and at the same time to be supported by the underlying MNO, who is very interested in growing that business. So I think it's a win-win case. If they succeed, they get good business, and the MNO grows in that segment. If they, on the other hand, the MNO is targeting that segment without making its own investment. There are many other areas that I think it's just impossible for one MNO to penetrate. I mean, the operators I'm talking about in Malaysia, those two, the ethnic one has about 700,000 subscribers out of a population of 23 million. It started 2 years ago. The brand-based one, TuneTalk, has going on for 1 million subscribers. These are very large segments in the market. So there are plenty of other segments that are interesting for entrepreneurs to target, but there's perhaps only a few thousand, a few tens of thousands. And there are just too many of them for an MNO itself to look at. I mean, we, Computaris, were at the Mobile World Congress, and one of the discussions there was, I found quite interesting. It was about an operator in the US that had built in M2M devices in green fields to work out when to water the crops and to manage watering the crops. And it was sending data back by mobile to a central system that was optimizing the watering of these fields. There was another MVNO there in the States that had built-in devices in rubbish collection, and was working out when the rubbish bins were full and was optimizing the collection routes for the rubbish. So these guys were making money, first of all, out of green fields, and secondly, out of rubbish. Now, if you can do that, that's a good business to be in. And but that's only possible by testing the market, and only MVNOs can test that market. It's a relatively small market, but you need to be specialized in doing that. Then we're also talking about smartphone apps. and linking, I think, smartphone apps with mobile services and having a network infrastructure behind this. There are many, many possibilities that only small companies, entrepreneurial startups can think of, and these are the opportunities that only MVNOs can explore. And one of the great trends in the mobile market, I think, is it used to be fixed, and now everything is moving to mobile. And next year everything's moving to cloud, and in 2 or 3 years everything's moving to social. So there's this great trend of things moving fixed to mobile, to cloud, to social, and all of these things have a huge number of possibilities that are each only small segments that MVNOs can take the risk and address and help optimize the investment of the MNO.